This is part 2 of the homework video guide for section 3.3, and let's take a look at question number 5 here. The value of a computer in hundreds of dollars is given by this equation, where t is the number of years since the computer was bought. I need to graph this equation, and I need to use the graph to estimate what the computer is worth after 4 years. Okay, so we want to find out how much the computer is worth after 4 years, and we're given this equation. And we know that t is the number of years since the computer was bought. Okay, so I've gone ahead already and I've labeled my graph here. So your x variable represents t for time, age of the computer, and your y variable represents the value of the computer measured in hundreds of dollars, right? So hundreds of dollars there. So this 6 really means $600. Okay. What I'll do first here is I will just try to graph this by looking at my equation here. So I have v equals to negative 3 over 4t plus 6. Okay, so that means the value of the computer is actually decreasing as time increases, right? Now, when we're graphing this, I would start here at plus 6. So this is this point right here, the y-intercept at plus 6. So that kind of means that the value of the computer is worth $600 at the beginning. And the slope means we would go up 3 and left 4. And the reason why we're going left 4 is because of that minus sign. Now clearly I can't really go up 3 and left 4 anymore, so if I had to reverse this, this would mean I would go down 3 and I would go right 4. Alright, so from this red dot here, let's go down 3 and right 4. So down 3, right 4, and then down 3, right 4. Right, so there's my graph, and if you want to connect the dots, it would look like something like that. And the question is, what is the value of the computer after 4 years, which is this point right here? So that point is the point 4, 3, and this is the time. So after 4 years, the value of the computer is 3, but this means $300. So $300 is my answer for that one there. Also, if you didn't have the graph, you can definitely just take the 4 years here and plug it in for your t value. So you could also get 300 by doing this, negative 3 over 4 times 4 years plus 6. And you notice that this 4 and that 4 will cancel off, giving you negative 3 plus 6, and that will give you 3. And 3 represents $300, right? So $300. So those are two ways where you can get the answer for this question after 4 years, by graphing it or by just using the equation. Okay, let's move on to question number 7 here. So the value of a car in hundreds of dollars again is given by this equation now, where t is the age of the car, and the car was bought new 3 years ago. That's key. It's new 3 years ago. Graph the equation and estimate the value of the car 4 years from now. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, I know the question says we're supposed to graph this, but I will like to set up a table of values first. Okay, so your x variable here, usually this is x and that's y, right? But what does x represent? X represents time, right? So this is going to be time. And what does y represent? Y represents value in hundreds of dollars. Okay, great. All right, so and our equation is this. The equation is value plus 25 times the time equals to 300. Okay, so let's just think about this question here, and let's just set up a table of values here. Okay, so in the very beginning when time is 0, right? So that means this is going to take a value of 0, right? So 25 times 0 would be 0, so the value would be $300. Okay, so at the beginning, the value of the car is, sorry, it's not $300, but $300,000 because it's in hundreds of dollars. The value of the car should be worth quite a bit because at the beginning it should be worth the most. Okay. All right, so how do we kind of put this 3 years? It was bought 3 years ago, right? So this is today. Okay, so this question is kind of asking you to think about this question 3 years in the future, right? Because 3 years ago it was new, right? So you have to ask yourself, what is the value of the car, you know, after 3 years, right? So if you wanted to use this value of 3 here, you'd do value plus 25 times 3 equals to 300. And if you actually multiply numbers here, you get 75. 3 times 25 is 75, and that would equal to 300. If you minus 75 from both sides, you get 200 and so 300 minus that's about 300 and Sorry, it's 225. So 225 is your new value after 3 years. Now we want to know, since we are starting at this particular time value, we want to find the value of the car 4 years from now. Okay, so today we're starting at 3 years. 4 years from now, that would mean the car is at the 7-year mark, right? So this is 4 years from now, because we're assuming the problem has started 3 years in advance. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take that 7 and then we're going to plug that 7 into my equation. So v plus 25 times 7 equals to 300. And 25 times 7 is going to be 175 equals to 300. And if I bring the 175 to the other side, it's going to be 300 minus 175, and that's going to give you 125. Right, now, since this question is in hundreds of dollars, I mean, the real answer is this, 12,500. That is the value of the car after 4 years from now. And I guess the car is going to be worth around $30,000 at the beginning. So I think I might have said this was worth 300,000, but sorry, if I do my math correctly here with hundreds, the car should be worth $30,000 at the beginning. Then after 7 years later, it's going to be worth 12,500. And the reason why we have to look 7 years later is because we assume that we start 3 years ahead of time, right? Because it says 3 years ago the car was new, and then we want to estimate the car 4 years from now. So now is at this particular stage after 3 years. Okay, and then if you want, you can go ahead and just try to graph this to the best of your ability here, and I will go ahead and construct a graph here on the right-hand side in just a sec. Okay, so here's my graph that I've kind of constructed after pausing the video there. As you can see on the Y value, I measured in hundreds of dollars, so that's the value, and the x-axis represents the years, right? So this is what we were trying to find in this particular question. After 7 years, the value of the car is about 12,500. Okay, that's it for that particular question. Let's move on to question number 8, and then we'll finish this homework video guide. Okay, let's take a look at question number 8 now. So in question number 8, on December 25th, 2009, the temperature at noon in Moose Jaw is approximated by this equation right here. And I need to graph this equation and also estimate the temperature at 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. of that day. Okay, so the x-axis is represented by hours, and the y-axis is represented by the temperature, degrees Celsius. Okay, so here's my equation. Temperature plus 2 hours is equal to negative 2 degrees Celsius. All right, so I don't care about this degrees Celsius part. I'll just leave it as just negative 2. And then let's just go ahead and construct a table of values here. So I know that my x variable is represented by hours, so I'll put my hours here first. And that means my temperature, which is represented by my y value, my y variable, I will put right here as t. Okay, so let's just figure out what's happening at the beginning at 0 hours. Okay, so if I take 0 hours here, if I substitute that over here, that would mean that this would go to 0, and that means t would equal to negative 2 degrees Celsius. So negative 2. So that means right here at 0 degrees Celsius, at 0 hours, my temperature is going to be negative 2, so about right there. So negative 2 is about right there. Okay, and then after that, let's just see what's happening to figure out the rest of the problem here. I need to find the temperature at 2 p.m. that day, so I'll put hours as 2. That represents 2 p.m. And let me just go back now and fill in my chart here, where this 2 now represents this h. So this would mean t plus 2 times 2, and that's going to equal to negative 2. All right, so t plus 4 equals to negative 2, and then I can subtract the 4 from both sides, and I get negative 6. So that means at 2 p.m., sorry, not t here, this will be negative 6. At 2 p.m., the temperature has gone down to negative 6 degrees Celsius. So this point represents about that point right there. So at 2 p.m., I guess the temperature is negative 6 degrees Celsius. Okay, and then after that, let me just erase this. The final thing we have to do here is I need to find the temperature at 5 p.m. that day, so that means the hours will be 5. And then that means this will be replaced with 5, so this will be t plus 2 times 5 equals to negative 2. This means t plus 10 equals to negative 2, and that means my temperature is going to be negative 12. All right, so at 5, it's going to be roughly, if I line this up correctly, about there, right? So this is going to be after 5 p.m., the temperature is negative 12 degrees Celsius. Okay, so there you go. So the answer to B is going to be negative 12 degrees Celsius, and the answer for part A at 2 p.m. should be negative 6 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that concludes this homework video guide for section 3.3.